showing you my everyday foundation routine. I don't always wear foundation, but when I do, this is the technique that I use, and it's all about using the right products and the right brushes. If this sounds like something that you'd be interested in, please continue watching. Okay guys, so this is me without any makeup, just washed my face, and you can definitely see that there's some dark circles right in here. I have some discoloration around my nose, kind of as well into my forehead, into my chin. So these are all things that I want to definitely cover up and make look really nice and smooth. So the first step after I'm done washing my face is to use my Aveda All Sensitive Moisturizer, and I did talk about this product in my last video, but I think this is a good step to kind of start your day before you put on any type of foundation. It's really light, it's not heavy or greasy, so I think this is definitely a good step, and you always want to moisturize before you put on foundation. I also recommend, which I'm not going to be using today, is using a primer. I really used to use, all the time, I used to use the MAC Prep and Prime, which I really enjoy, but I didn't always use that, especially with the foundation that I'm using today, because it is still a silicone base, so you would be using a silicone based primer as well as a silicone based foundation, and it would be a little too much. So the foundation I'm going to be using today is my Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Plus. I switch between this foundation as well as my Studio Sculpt, MAC Studio Sculpt, as well as CoverGirl's Nature Luxe. I like all three of these. I think they're all really great. I use them at different times. This is more, the Nature Luxe is more of my everyday, but when I'm looking for a little more coverage, which is the case today, I'm definitely going to be using the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Plus. So again, this is a silicone base. It's water resistant, and I am in number 45, and you just need a little bit of this. A little goes a long way, and I'm just going to put a little on the back of my hand. And I'm also going to be taking one of these brushes right here. This is my Real Techniques brush by Samantha Chapman, so Pixie Woo. I use that powder brush as well. And this is just a nice flat stippling brush, and I'm just going to dip right into my foundation and then kind of stipple this everywhere. And then I'm going to be blending this in. So I just want to make sure I get right into the corners and the crevices, and you can already tell that this is making a difference already just by me stippling it on there. So again, like I said, a little goes a long way, especially when you're using this technique. You're not going to be using a lot of makeup. So I definitely concentrate into the forehead, right under the eyes, in the corners of the eyes. And then after you kind of get everywhere, you're just going to kind of buff it in. You shouldn't need to go into the neck area if your foundation is the right color. I only kind of go right into the chin and kind of blend out. So, of course, if you're looking for that natural finished look, you don't want to be using foundation into the neck. Then you're going to obviously be able to tell that you used, makeup. You want your skin to look really flawless, almost like you're not using any makeup at all. So, I'm just going to blend that in. And you can already tell, look, there's already difference. Those dark circles have kind of diminished. Right into my nose looks a little more sculpted. Even my Cupid's bow looks a little more sculpted. I definitely concentrate on those areas because I want them to stand out. And then I always blend right into my forehead because I want it, or right into the hairline because I want it to look, again, natural. So that's it for the foundation. See, super easy, super simple. And then I'm just going to take the extra and wipe it off. Next, I'm going to be taking my MAC Studio Finish Concealer, and you can tell I'm already hitting pan on this. I love this concealer. I used to use this a lot under my eyes, but now I don't really use it as much. It's a little heavy, it gets a little cakey, and if I get any powder or anything like that into the under eye area, you can see those fine lines and wrinkles, and the older you get, yes, you do see them. So I use this just kind of for spot treatment. So I take a little brush like this, just a really small brush, and this is I think it's Sonia Kashuk from Target. And I just dip in there, and I get little spot areas. So I always get right in the corners of my nose. I just apply a little right in there, and then I use my ring finger to kind of tap, just to kind of get the product right in the crevices. And then I also apply a little to my Cupid's bow, because again, I like that. My lips are my favorite feature, so I definitely want my top lip to kind of stand out more like my bottom lip, keep it a little more defined. And then I also use a little right here in the corners of my eyes, because those areas tend to get darker than even my under eye area. So I want to make sure that those are light and they really match the rest of my face. So again, I get right into these areas and tap in. So again, you can't really tell much of a difference, but more of my features are a little more accented right here in the nose, right here above the lip, and then right into this area of the eye. Again, if you have a little extra of your foundation that you have from the back of your hand, you can always apply a little over the eyelids, anything like that. But usually when I stipple or when I'm applying the foundation, I always add any to the top of the eyes and blend anyway. But if you're looking like it's not looking even, you can always apply a little extra just to kind of make sure everything really looks nice and smooth. At this point, I will apply powder. I always apply powder before I put on concealer, only because, again, I don't want that powder to hit my concealer and make it look really cakey or kind of define any line or wrinkles that I have. So I'm going to be using my MAC Studio Fix. I switch between this and the Instant Age Rewind powder because it's more of like the mineralized skin finish that MAC has out. But, again, I'm looking for a smooth, flawless finish. So I'm going to be using my big fluffy brush. Again, this is Real Techniques by Samantha Chapman. And just kind of dip in there and hit my T-zone. And then I hit kind of around my cheeks. By using a big brush like this, you'll be using a lot less product on your face, and it's going to give you a really nice buffed look. It's going to allow the product to apply everywhere, opposed to taking a smaller brush like this and trying to rub all that in. I don't have good luck with brushes like this. You will notice such a difference using a big fluffy brush. This makes such a difference to kind of apply it. You use a lot less product, and again, we're looking for that natural look, so it's going to definitely give you that with a brush like this. So I do think that the most important brushes in this whole technique is a stippling brush that's really nice and firm, opposed to like this MAC brush, which is the MAC 187, and you can see it's really flimsy. This is really good for like if you're applying like an illuminator or something like that. This is not going to give you enough stability. You need something really stiff like this brush right here. And then again, a big fluffy brush for your powder. After I apply my powder, at this point I'm going to be applying my under eye concealer. I'm going to be using the Maybelline's Instant Age Rewind Dark Circle Eraser. So this stuff is really incredible, and what I really love about this is that you don't need a powder to set it. Even those powdered or those powders that you can buy that are for under the eye area, you don't need them with this. So I'm just going to click that up, 2 clicks, and then apply right under the eye, right in here. And then I also hit the corners of my nose right here again, and then right here at my contour, and then again at my Cupid's bow, and then right under here. Only because I want to, again, accentuate those areas a little more, and I always like to apply a little extra. And to blend these areas out, I'm going to be using, this is an Eco Tools kind of angled brush. And these are really soft. If you ever used Eco Tools, you know they're super, super soft. And they're perfect for right under the eye area. So you're just going to kind of buff that in. And then right, at the contours. Right at your nose, right at your chin. And right under the eye. And that is it. Super easy. See, I told you, it takes about 3 minutes. Of course, it takes longer when I'm showing you guys. But this process takes anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how much coverage you want. I really don't suggest overdoing it with your foundation. It doesn't look natural. The whole point of makeup is to accentuate your features, not to look fake. So, again, this is my foundation routine. I love this foundation routine. It always works. It always looks flawless. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Again, this is my technique that I think gives you the perfect flawless airbrush look when applying foundation. Again, as always, please hit that subscribe button, comment down below, and please thumbs up. You can always find me on Instagram and Twitter at LuckieEcke, LuckieEcke. Thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.